This is it. The moment that we all wait for. Like sands through the hourglass, we wait for the moment to see that last crystal fall, because then we know we are about to hear the intelligence of one Michael J. Morris on his very own podcast, amazingly enough, named Starstruck.
That's right. Named after me, and I'm struck by me. I couldn't be any happier than I am right now. I can't believe I have my own podcast. And you're on it. I don't even know how. Yeah,
I don't know how this happened.
I don't either. Look.
How many people turned you down before
tons.
You settled?
Tons.
This is settled.
Yep.
This is like the lights coming on at the bar at 12:45.
That's right.
You got 15 minutes.
You got 15 minutes. Better get it done. Have that one last beverage.
Final.
Head home. But if you want the news, if you want the real lowdown, you want to tune into this show and get the real lowdown. Today, the topic will be a new term for everyone out there. Well, me. OTAs. Organized Team Activity. I believe it is.
That's
correct. Just unbelievable what they've come up with. In other words, get your ass to practice and work out every day until the new season. I just, that is something that I would never be able to get used to, walking down there every day and doing a workout with the team that I played with. You have to break away from it. I mean, you have to break away, go do something else, and then come back and it feels good again to walk in the building, see everyone come in again. You had the mini camps. They have that too.
Right, and that'll be coming up for the Vikings, but organized team activities began this week, and they've actually have been around. The media just is allowed in this week. So we'll hear J.J. McCarthy, Kevin O'Connell talking about his progression and how he has dazzled us with what he has done here in these practices.
I hope so. Can he also guarantee us that he will be healthy the whole time, the whole way through this time? Like he'll take the new freshman year and run with it the whole way, even past preseason, and get into the regular season and show everybody that he is that franchise quarterback that Kevin thinks he is. And that's an incredible endorsement, by the way.
Yeah.
For Kevin O'Connell to say that is pretty big talk.
He threw that out there last year after he got hurt.
Yeah.
And said from what he had seen to this point, he sees him as a franchise quarterback.
And I remember Tom Brady also saying that he's the most knowledgeable quarterback I think I've been around outside of myself, or something like to that effect. But of course, they're both from Michigan, so I'm sure he had something good to say about his kid, right? So, but I still, it's a pretty big deal coming from Brady as well. So he must be something else, because Daniel Jones said, "I'm out of here." I mean, he saw it. He thought that if he was going to get to play again in the league, he'd have to get out of here. So he took the contract and went to Indianapolis. That there are some things that you mentioned that makes you want to read into all that, is that we don't know what Daniel Jones knew, and that's why he decided to take his bags and pack them and go.
Right, because there wasn't an
opportunity,
bank breaker deal.
It was $14 million.
I don't even know if it was that much.
Really,
but
I thought it was.
Oh yeah, but anyways, I mean that's nothing. The Vikings could have easily gave him that check with all the money and the shifting they had done and all the money they had available going into free agency.
Yeah,
he'd fit in now, even with all the money they've spent. They still have room to go.
But how much roster is still left to be signed? We've been behind so many players to actually get into camp and fill out a roster. I mean, have we caught up on that number? Do you know?
They've brought in enough bodies. Whether these are NFL players, we don't know. But no, they've gone out and filled up with college free agents after the draft, and there's enough people to sit in all the chairs in the classrooms.
That's kind of what it is too. I mean, you become a number until they know you. You know, they put the sticker on your helmet. I'm sure they still do it because the coaches don't know you by name yet. If you're one of those guys, one of the free agent guys, like John Randall. Can you imagine John Randall on a helmet? They don't know who he is. Hey, get over here, Randall. Let's see what you got. Oh, the yellow jacket's what you got with Hall of Fame on it. That's what it is. But it's interesting to me to know that they're already at it. Not that it's that early, but they have to be down there now, don't they? I mean, they're bound to that.
Well, these aren't mandatory. The mini camps,
but it's the wink thing, right? It's
right.
The,
or you can have in your contract cash.
There you go
to show up.
Because if you wanted to go anywhere else, you had to sign a waiver. I remember back when I played, you had to sign a waiver to be somewhere else, or back home, or back at college, or wherever you were going to do your lifting and your running. They had to know where you were at, and if you were going to sign out of the per diem, as it was put,
okay,
or the pittance, then you had to sign out on that. They had to know, and that you had signed away from the money and the opportunity, that you opted out of it.
Did your teammates chip in to pay your fee so you would not be allowed?
You know what? They kind of did in a roundabout way. They would buy stuff for the gym they liked. They would buy stuff and bring it into my place and just let me have it. But they wanted this piece or that piece, they'd buy it, bring it in. Put it over there. But use it whenever you want to. And then they said, just keep it. Stussy and Matt Burke did that several times. So, not that they paid me. It would have been fairly expensive back in, if you wanted to charge them, I would have done pretty good on that. But they were my teammates. So, right. What the heck? I'm going to go in here and train. You may as well be with me. So they did. And that's what they let me do it. And I know that Big Todd Stussy had to sign a waiver to get over at my place. He had an injury also during the season. So I took him down to Arizona to see one of the PTs and one of the strength guys that I knew down there. So we had him looked into, gave him a whole regiment on how to come back at my place. And they gave me the scoop on what to do and what timetable to be on. And we came back and worked him that off season, and he went to the Pro Bowl. So it must have worked out okay.
Yeah.
It must have worked out okay. He hadn't been to a Pro Bowl yet, but he went to a Pro Bowl the first year that he started working out.
Did he buy a ticket?
No tickets. Cheap. Very cheap. No, he
was selected. Oh, I thought you meant at the end of the year, you gave him a trip to the Pro Bowl and you bought him a chair in the stadium.
Well, he got a nice chair over on the sideline with a helmet, so he got to play in the Pro Bowl. That's pretty cool. I mean, the following season is what I'm talking about. Is we got him ready during the offseason, and he came in and blew the place up, and whatever we did.
It was my poor attempt at humor. I apologize.
It was horrible. I mean, I always say that about you.
I will just sit in my chair. Go ahead.
He was I think a perennial guy then after that for like 4 or 5, 6 years in a row. And Burke, he did the same thing. Came over to my place. Mike Tice suggested that he come over. He was the offensive line coach. Liked Burke quite a bit at training camp, at senior game and other stuff, looking at him. And after the first year, he said, get over with Mike in the offseason. So he came over and did the whole 9 yards, and he was off and running to the Pro Bowl after Christie went down to Tampa. But then he went to like 2 or 3 Pro Bowls, and then the Vikings, with another staff, insisted that he come back and start training with the team to be around the complex. And he did, but he got hurt doing some of the stuff they did in the training process. He got hurt doing that. I think it was like a double hernia type thing that he had to have corrected by surgery. So then the next year he asked if he could come back and lift with me because he didn't like what happened. Who would? He missed the whole year. Came back, lifted at my place, and he went back to the Pro Bowl. So that's good. I always like that when they go back to the Pro Bowl. And then he would bring me back something nice, like a watch, like a Pro Bowl watch.
Really?
Let me have, because he said, you should be there too. There ought to be long snappers out there. I said, well, maybe someday. And as soon as I retired, they had Pro Bowl selections for long snappers only. Anyway, but I find that it, training down at the new place too would just be such an unbelievable experience training in that place. It must just be amazing to walk in there every day and suit up and go down to the locker room and put your workout stuff on and go out on those fields and those. It's just so incredibly nice out there. I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
I always looked around there and I thought, if I was like an undrafted single guy, or rookie, whatever, I'd just find a couch somewhere.
Yeah.
They wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't rent a place.
Yeah.
I would just stay there. They have 24-hour-a-day chefs. They've got
They do, don't they?
Yeah. Food everywhere, whatever you want. They know what you're supposed to eat, so they just give it to you.
They just
So you
have
don't
it
have
there.
to think about it. Oh, this is what so-and-so's meal is. Here you go. In the locker room, there's a fireplace.
Yeah. I've never been in there.
Why would you want to go anywhere else?
I've been told that it's absolute. I've seen pictures of it.
It's astonishing. It's like, how is this conducive to building a tough team when you just want
it's a
to
lounge.
put slippers
It's
on and a
it's like
smoking jacket?
This beautiful resort.
Yes.
The fireplace in the middle of the. I've seen it. It's like all the way to the ceiling, isn't it? So it's enormous.
Yes. You've had fires in the locker room, but
I started them. Yeah. Then it was just a joke to set up the sprinklers. We had just really, really, really low ceilings. I remember with ceiling tiles that Jeff Christie and I would take turns breaking because we would kick the fizz ball in there. The great big chiropractic ball that you balance on. We would kick that. We'd have kickball. Jeff and I would play kickball indoors, and it would slam into the ceiling tiles, and they'd come down in pieces and break. So Breck Spender comes downstairs after he hears that we're doing it again, and he said, Coach Green wanted me to tell you two that each one of those ceiling tiles is $140. With that, Jeff Christie kicked the ball and broke another one. He goes, tell Coach I owe him $140. I'm like, what are you? Christie was so defiant. And I got to think, we went from that and that silly little room with the ice tubs and the water pit, whatever that was, to the thing out at TCO. It's just day and night. It's just from going from the absolute worst in the NFL. It had to have been the whole facility underground, no windows. So you walked around all day in a cave, no sunlight coming in until you walk out at night. But in the wintertime, you're indoors the entire time, and then you walk out. You walk in, it's dark, and then you walk out to get in your car and go home, it's dark. Unreal. Felt like a vampire. But that's where they're at today. That facility is, I can't get over it. I've been out there with you and walked around out there and had to have clearance from about 3 different layers of ninja security to get in there.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what they're checking into every day. They check in down there. They get in their brand new clothes and their brand new shoes. I'm sure they get issued something every day, brand new. It always looks like it's brand spanking new. Like they don't have anything worn or like cut up or like older shoes that they got broke in. I don't think they even have to deal with that. No. And it's just
so
amazing to me.
We scoff sometimes, make fun of that. Oh, it's organized team activities. It's mini camp. It's this event. It's that event. And we remember the old days when you had the mini camp and boom, you guys are gone. Then you came to training camp. That was it.
Yep.
There was nothing from November to June when the mini camp was, or May after the draft and your free agents got here. Shook hands with everybody, hung out for a week, and then we're gone again, and then we're not back. So you feel what they're doing is still, in today's NFL, a vital part of the process.
Yeah, I definitely, it's better than knowing that they're just going to go take off and go somewhere and tell you that they're going to go work out somewhere. Now they're going to work out with their college coach back at the college or whatever the case. They're going to go back home. A lot of them made their home somewhere else, back where they're actually from or from their college town. That's how it normally worked out. Where their family still is and where they had their house. They'd go back. and they would lift with so-and-so or with this guy that trained him. And to say that they all came back in shape would be a stretch. You know, it would be a real stretch.
Right.
In
McKinney.
fact, McKinney was one of them. And the coaches always used the first practice with us for 2 days. First 2 days we're in like shorts and shoulder pads. And that was the eye test. They called it the eye test to see if you'd been doing anything, just to see you in shorts and a t-shirt, to see if you even looked like you'd been training, how you moved. Just put some short gear on and let's see how you move even. And they can tell right away if you've been doing anything or not. You can see it right away if you've been doing anything.
Could you see it too?
Oh my God. I used to just think, I'm training this hard to be a long snapper in this damn league. I mean, I'm training 3 times harder than this guy, and he's the guy. I'm not going to mention any names, but I mean, hey, that's why they put them all, you know, some of the guys that they wanted to have come back in good shape with me. They just knew that would happen, and it always did. But it was, I believe that what they do is they have them come in, and when I was with any other team, it didn't matter if it was with the Chiefs or with the Patriots or whomever. If you're in town, we suggest you're in town. We want you to be here. If you have to go back home, we understand, but it would be to your advantage to be here. And it was about protecting your career and wanting to be back. And if you weren't one of the guys that were here training, they looked down upon that. They did not like the idea of you taking care of business on your own. But you had your career in your own hands.
All right.
So if you wanted to play, you better be doing something. But a lot of the time, you could just tell it was those guys waiting till the last second to put 2 weeks in of really hard last-second training to try and do anything and come back and able to run.
All right. What was the test? The start of training camp, because then we'd be there and the media would see, you know, and they'd be ostracized off to another field, a group of players that didn't make the cut. What was Denny's test?
The test with Dennis Green was to see if you knew where to be on the field and if you knew how to be on time. It was the whole thing. The test was you're never late, you're on time, you know the playbook, you know your assignment. He was more of a classroom kind of guy in a lot of ways. He'd have a shorter practice and get off the field and have us go and spend more time looking at the film. We got it on film, so let's look at practice now. And that was what he did. And the whole test with him was, we want smart players around here and not people that make knucklehead mistakes, you know. And we had good talent. We had a lot of talent.
Oh, yeah.
We had a lot of talent on that team, several teams. And I think that with Coach Green, it had to be part of your karma, part of the chemistry of the locker room, he would purposefully put offensive lineman, defensive lineman, offensive lineman, defensive lineman. They stagger each locker so that you intermingle with the other side of the ball. It was staged that way. Offense, defense, and everyone together. So you come in after practice, you might have had a tough practice against each other because you hit, but you could come in and talk. And it worked. I mean, it kind of worked because any other team I played for, it would be offense over here, defense over here, looking at each other. If it was bad and you went after each other in practice, you'd just stare across the room, right, at the guy, or he'd be staring at you. It didn't happen this way. It worked out because you could just come in and talk about it or laugh about it or like, sorry, I did that. But it would work out. Socially, it worked out. And so that's what Dennis did. He was actually very shrewd in the way he went about doing stuff. But there wasn't
a physical test, or was that a different coach? Was that Tice that did that, where there were guys that were put on? Because I remember Bryant McKinney. You know, he ended up being the guy that wasn't in football shape.
That was after me.
Okay.
That was after me.
So
but I know
endurance tests that you had to pass or run a mile and so much.
It was very typical.
Something, and then you got put on the other field.
You sure did with Freddie.
Yeah,
not good. Freddie and the golf cart. Do not end up over there with Fred and the golf cart and him walking next to you or like driving the cart next to you while you're running.
Fred Zamberlitti was the Vikings.
Day one.
He was the trainer.
He was the trainer. He was the head trainer.
So for the people don't remember who
Yeah,
Fred was.
Fred was
you had
here.
to go over there.
Yeah, you had to go over with him. And if you, trust me, you wanted to be in practice, you wanted to be hitting more so than being one of the guys over there with him. Because if you looked over at them, they could barely get off the ground. And he's having them follow the golf cart and doing up downs every 5 yards. He'd hit it flat and get back up, but they would do it for the entire practice. All of practice. And then they'd put them on the hill after practice. We go walking in, we're cutting tape off, and someone's running the 45-degree embankment, and there's nothing left in the tank. And because they've been doing the up downs with the golf cart, and now they're going up the hill, and there's nothing left in the tank. And that's day in and day out until you're cleared to come back to practice. So you want to get out of the tub and come back to practice, because being sentenced to Freddie was like doom. It was doom. If you want to experience near death, go over with Fred in the heat while it's still hot outside and have him do up downs with mosquitoes in the grass. That's fun. That'll be a lot of fun for you. And that's what we had. But the test was, and with any other team, we had to come in and test like a combine. With Marty Schottenheimer, with Raymond Berry, with Bill Belichick, with the Browns, we had to do physical tests, like you were saying. We had to do a shuttle run back and forth across the field for time, 5 of them. It had to be 36 seconds, down and back, down and back. 5 of those with a minute and a half in between with Belichick. I mean, that was a good pace for big guys. Gene Stallings, it's 10 100s, full sprint. You have to be at the other side of the field in 14 seconds if you're one of the big guys. And you have to walk back. You can't jog back. You've got 52 seconds to walk back and touch the line and go again. 10 of those. And if you could do 10 of those, you were good to come to practice without having to do them. But you did them until you could do them and practice. So wow. It was, but that wasn't with Denny. Denny wanted to play you into shape. Joe Gibbs wanted to play you into shape. Like, we're going to play football. We're not going to run and like condition you guys, so to speak, but you have got to move in and out of that huddle and put a quick practice together and actually get the conditioning during practice. And that was the whole mentality.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. So if you want to be prepared for a home project, right? You don't want to show up at your home project with, not the right equipment.
Right.
You're not in shape to do this job. You need stuff. You
want to have the right tools in your hand. You want to be able to pass the test when the job is inspected. So, you got to do the job right. You would want to head on down to Ace, and it would have to be one of the Polici Ace Hardware stores. One in Zumbrota, another in Farmington, one more in Rosemount, and then the last one in Egan. They've been in business for 30 years. The Policis, they know what's going on, so just go up and tell them, I need to pass the test. I need to be on point for this project. What do I do? And they'd probably suggest that you go down and take a $30 discount on some of the select 20-volt DeWalt tools, or a $20 discount off the 20-volt Craftsman tools. You could do that, build a nice deck, and pass the test. Or you could head on over and buy a Weber grill, or like throw some Turf Builder in with some Scott Turf Builder, the whole 9 yards. You can pick up a Yeti cooler and stay cool and have a couple 13, 14 barley pops while you're doing your jobs. Do that all down at Ace, because Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks. I'm telling you right now, Polici, Ace Hardware, Zumbrota, Farmington, Rosemount, Egan. Tell them the superstar Mike Morris sent you.
And so then you can have the right tools, so you are not a tool.
That's it. I mean, I'm a power tool.
Right.
I strength training is great. I'm a tool, power tool, and an idiot. But that's okay. That's fine. I'm perfectly suited to do what I do. But that's the way you'd want to do it. Head on down to Ace, Polici's Ace Hardware. And if you want to get down there, if you should want to go down there,
right,
and you want to visit all 4 to say hi to all the Polici people that are at each one of the stores, you'd want to get in a Dodge Ram, I'm guessing. Get into a Dodge Ram truck and head on over there. Cliff Road, 35W in Burnsville. Slide right up past all the other dumpster yards known as any other car dealership outside of Dodge of Burnsville. Slide up in there and ask for Adam or Mark Sava. Tell them what you need. They'll take good care of you. Brady, jackass. And they'll take good care of you, take care of your trade, the service end of it, and you name it. They'll take good care of you. So it's down there. The inventory is down there, and any price point that makes you more comfortable, they have that for you. Okay, so head on down, Dodge of Burnsville, 35W, Cliff Road in Burnsville. Tell them Superstar Mike Morris sent you.
All right. How out of shape could you let yourself go? For the average guy, I know you. This is your life. This is what you have done. But for an NFL player, you go to Tahiti, 2 weeks. That's it. Then you better get back at it if you want to continue your career at the upper echelon. Or can you go a whole month of taking time, or is that just going to destroy you?
I think you're going to be pressing it to try and get back in shape because it's a little harder every year to get back into shape. You get torn up a little bit, and then you really have to work at getting back from the beat down and getting back to feeling normal again, and then actually putting a step on getting ahead of where you were to be stronger than you were last time, because that's always the objective, is to be stronger every time you go back in. You don't want to be the same guy. You'd like to be able to add to that and add to the career and build past your college years into a strong professional football player instead of just the run-of-the-mill college guy. You've got to keep going up. So 2 weeks would be the very most I'd want to lay down and stay away from it. Let your body sort of just come back to balance. Let yourself feel your joints maybe come back and feeling better again, and then start heating it up a little bit. Heat up the rods, as I say. You want to heat up the rods a little bit and start sending some blood flow back through. So send some circulation back through those joints and get them to heal again. Get it back slowly, and then start adding on. It's a progression. Progressive overload training, that's what you want to do. And that's what it would start about 2 weeks after the season ended. And I think I did it right. I mean, just a long snap, I was having to work at it that hard.
Right.
I mean, if you don't, you're gone. They find somebody else. So I had 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's amazing. But would it bug you if you didn't? Like, say something was going on and, I don't know, you're moving or you had a project going on and you just didn't have time. You would feel your body or your brain craving
to
get back in
there.
there?
You're grumpy. You're like you scowl. You just get to the point where it's so much a part of your day and so much a part of your routine that if you don't do it, you're cranky like a bear, right? I want to get in there and do that, but you didn't get to do it today because you had this to take care of, or you're going to set up and move back to Minnesota with all your boxes from Kansas City and whatever. And you got to take the time to get the move in. And even though you're getting all those calories off by trying to box everything up and move, you're getting a lot of work in. You don't count it. It's like, no, it doesn't count. It's not lifting. But it's a routine. If you've been doing it long enough, you don't feel right unless you get something quick in, whether it's 25, 30 minutes. It really is all I need. 25, 30 minutes, you can get it done. You can do it. Anything over an hour is just wasting time in there. It really is. You're just doing time for no reason.
Is it really?
Yeah. I mean, you're just really kind of, wasting away strength by just being in there and doing more variations of sets and exotic stuff that you don't need to be doing. Just knock down the primary muscle movers and move on, recover. You'd rather be recovering and getting stronger by recovery and eating right and getting enough sleep and then getting back up and pounding another 45, 55 minutes. Really hard though. I mean, high intensity, going hard. That gets it done. That's what I preach all day, every day. Every day.
And you're still training guys.
Yep.
Just for those that don't. So how many people are in? How will you take someone that's a high school player right now?
Do it all the time.
Or college, or or I'm sure, NFL guys.
Milo Barbell. That's, where big things happen. We've had a lot of them in there too. We being me. I mean, I've had Stussy and I've had, Hovan and Kleinsasser and Burke and Lesnar. I've had some big guys in there. Really, Bob Sapp. I trained him for a while. So yeah, it's wide open. It's wide open. 612-239-7827. If you want to give me a call, we can set something up. If you have one of those young hopefuls that you want to try and bring up into the ranks, and you want to put them through a strength peak, we'd love to be able to do it at Milo Barbell for you. It's absolutely something that they'll learn more about real things in football outside of just the lifting when they come in and train with me, because it's a different mentality, a whole different mindset. And there's the football part of it, and you can talk football and you can help them with the football end of it, the psychology of what they're looking for from a player who I just feel like I've been there. I can help them with that,
Absolutely.
instead of dealing and guessing like I had to about what they're really thinking about me or how I should go about my business. You get a lot of that too. So there's some mentoring along the way with that. So that's where I think they develop a lot more than just strength training. There's a lot more in that weight room than that. So that's what I do. Been doing it for 35 years.
There you go.
Boom.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah. I think that's all the time we got too.
I think so. But you have to leave them with. So if you're a player out there and wanting to get to the next level, and it's summer, here it comes. It's time to head to Tonka, get on the boat, do fishing, whatever, sightseeing at Fletcher's, whatever you're doing. What do those guys have to look out for? So apparently you can't take the whole month of July.
You can't. It'd be impossible. For me to tell anyone that would be a darn shame. That would be a big mistake to tell anyone that. No, if you want to get ahead of the game, these people are doing it 12 months out of the year now, the high school kids included. They're doing it all year round. So you don't want to be outworked, but you don't want to. You also want to recover and do it the right way. So you can get out and live your life, and that's part of it too. And being with family and being out away from the school and off with your buddies, I get it. But consistency is the biggest thing about strength training, is to be in there when you're supposed to be in there and then get out of there. Don't just linger in there. Get in, and like I said before, get the workout done. Get it in and get out of there and go eat something. When you split that muscle fiber, when the myosin head pulls away from the actin filament, you split muscle fiber. And when you do that, you replace it with protein, and that's the new network of muscle fiber that's building in there. You recruit new muscle fiber to fire. I'd rather have you doing that and getting some rest and then going on the boat or out to Fletcher's and hanging out and getting a nice big chunk of hamburger or a steak or something like that. But then come back. You've got to be consistent with coming back in the next day and being the same lifter you were the day before. I want that same lifter back, recovered, not a half version of yourself the next day. You won't work that way. You can't do it that way. That's what I thought.
All right. There are your deep thoughts.
Those are my deep thoughts right there. Strength training, we could talk all day. I love it. But that's all the time we've got. So until next week on the Starstruck podcast, where we can talk more strength and more barbells and all kinds of stuff. That's it. For Jim Rich, I'm the superstar Mike Morris, crack staff, Brady Muller. We're out of here. See you next week.